Okay, good.
Srila?
I did not do much homework today.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to TechGig webinar series. Our topic for today's session is testing at crossroads, and we have with us today two esteemed speakers from Wipro Technologies. We have Mr. Sridhar Throvagunta. He is the Global Head Test Advisory Services at Wipro Technologies, and we also have Rupesh Garg. He is the Senior Manager Test Advisory Services at Wipro Technologies. Now, before handing over the session to Sridhar and Rupesh, just a quick brief about our speakers today. Sridhar is the Global Head of Test Advisory Services, as mentioned already, with a focus on evangelizing a transformational shift from software testing to business assurance. His experience spans defining business strategies, nurturing global accounts, and mentoring geographically spread teams. Sridhar is an IIM alumnus and a computer science engineer. He is passionate about homeopathy, anthropology, and other holistic disciplines. Rupesh is working as the Senior Manager with Test Advisory Services, and his areas of expertise include performance, automation, cloud-based testing solutions, and innovation. Rupesh holds a master's from Oklahoma State University in the US and bachelor's degree in engineering. PMP and ITIL Foundation certified, Rupesh also completed executive management programs from IIMC and Harvard University. He is passionate about spiritual sciences and social work. Now, the standard format for our sessions, we will open up the session for the first 45 minutes for Sridhar and Rupesh to take you through the presentation, and we'll keep the last 15 or 20 odd minutes for a quick Q&A. In between the session, if there is any connectivity issue or anything in terms of call drop or poor audio quality, please feel free to drop the moderator a message and we will do the needful. Without any further delay, I now hand over the session to both Sridhar and Rupesh. Over to you, Sridhar.
Thank you, Srilekna. Thank you very much. I hope I am audible now.
Yes, you are.
Thank you. And welcome to all. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. And season's greetings. I hope everybody had a good Christmas or good fun yesterday. Definitely Rupesh and I had some good time off yesterday, yeah? Rupesh? Yeah. So I have Rupesh also with me in this webinar, and this is going to be in a conversation mode. I'm going to engage Rupesh in a very stimulating conversation. And as I was saying all along, the beverage is definitely on you. You will have to bring your own beverage. But the stimulating conversation is on us. Rupesh?
Yes, hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon from wherever you're taking. This is Rupesh Garg. So we hope you will be finding this conversation definitely a great learning experience in the next 45 to 50 minutes, from our experience. And from wherever we have conducted this kind of series, we do see that people learn a lot, and they see where the industry is moving off in the testing industry from a technology perspective and also in the functional perspective. So with that said, let's get started.
Yes. So hopefully everybody is able to see the screens on, the slides on the screen. So the topic for us today is to really inquire if testing is at crossroads. Is software testing really at crossroads? And if so, what are the drivers? Why is it at crossroads? What's the impact of business and technology on software testing? And kind of look at what's the new role that testing is going to assume if things are going in the right direction. Yeah, Rupesh?
Yes. Definitely a lot of interesting things happening in the market, and definitely a lot of things to share today and learn from each of you also. We hope you will be candid to share your feedback and also ask very intelligent questions in the end of the conversation.
Great. So as Srilekna had already pointed out, that this is a team from the Wipro Technologies, and we both come from Test Advisory Services. And our mission is helping customers do our business better. The that's what you see on the screens right now. And without any further ado, I take you on to the next slide. So here is the prologue, Rupesh. Today I want to tell some white lies, some stories, and some true lies, and then reimagine quality with our attendees today. You think that's a good agenda for us to have today?
Yeah, makes sense. White lies really get you started.
Yes. So at this point in time, we can even have, we can open up one of the poll questions after my next slide. So 5 years hence, yeah, there are two possibilities. By 2018, testers have no career at all. The second alternative is by 2018, the Internet of Things creates a huge opportunity for the testers, and we are going to have ball of a time. So these are the two possibilities that we have. So quickly at the beginning, at this moment, can we take a quick poll? Sri Lakshma will probably help us, take an audience poll on whether they agree with one of these two possibilities. Yeah, please.
Which poll question do you want me to launch right now?
The first question.
Okay. Do you think testers have a great career 5 years from now, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So the moment I launch the poll, the question along with the options will appear on the home screen. And we will keep the poll open for about 30 seconds, and then I can share the answers with everyone.
Sure. Normally, these are two powerful statements out there. By 2018, we have no software testing left, no career for them. Or the exactly 180 degrees view, which is by 2018, there's so many things that are happening in technology, like Internet of Things, that it poses a huge opportunity for testers. And these are the two kind of positions that normally evoke a lot of strong sentiments in testers. Yes.
Okay, I will now close the poll and share the answer. So we have got 89% responding yes, and 13% says no.
Excellent. So we have a very optimistic crowd today. That is very nice to know. Okay, the reason why today we are discussing this topic whether testing is at crossroads is because there are winds of change blowing, right, Rupesh?
Yes, yes. A lot of winds of change and strong winds of change. Those ones are
correct. So what are the top three drivers that you can think of, Rupesh?
So the first one I can think of is the business one, which is the primary factor which is driving us. And the second one is I can think of is TBOC. TBOC is very, very important. Keeping in mind that it's a testing book of knowledge. And third part is technology. So like you had mentioned before, that Internet of Things. Right. You had mentioned before. I think you have not mentioned about big data analytics part, mobile part, and cloud part. Correct. So these are like few very, very important ones, which I think we are going to unfold in the coming part of lecture. That how they're going to have a huge impact the way our whole career and whole industry will be shaping up. And definitely we can see from the audience poll that people are excited. People do see a career for themselves, like you and me. So definitely we are seeing that people that a positive trend that people do see that testing has a lot of value to add in the coming years.
Absolutely, absolutely. So if you really look at it, the three drivers that we're talking about are the business, the testing body of knowledge, and the technology itself. So let's look at each of those and see what major changes or demands that these three drivers are putting on software testing, because of which we are today wondering about whether testing is at the top. So if you look at business, what is happening is the business is demanding more and more from the software testing. they want you to provide more return on investment. Probably some of the audience will be aware of the Gartner report, which says that more than 43% of the CFOs are today heading the IT organizations also. In fact, more than 43% of CIOs report into CFOs today.
Yes.
And the CFOs speak an entirely different language than CIOs.
Yes, like, if you see 10 years back, when there was a era when Google took off the market, it's not that, the fact is that, the moment Google took off these kind of smaller startup companies, the trend came that, no, the technology is the most important part of the business and they should have a larger influence. But we are seeing, now year by year that the influence of technologists is being influenced by the dollar value.
Correct.
So that's how, that statement we can definitely well relate with. The industry is, blowing the winds of change.
True. So if you are looking at some of the product companies or technology companies like, as I said, Google or maybe Microsoft, technologies for CIO may still be calling his shots. But if you look at banks or if you look at other verticals,
yes,
I think this is where in enterprises the decisions are more influenced by the CFOs. And the Gartner report that I'm referring to also says that more than 80% of the technology investment decisions are influenced or taken by CFOs today. So what does it mean for testing? It means that we should be in a position to communicate the return on investment or the value that we bring to the table in dollar terms.
Yes,
so
very high.
That is the, it is no longer about the number of test cases that are written. It's not about the test cases that are executed, so on and so forth, the number of bugs that are caught, number of bugs that are prevented from reaching production. But it's mostly about the amount of money that is returned for the investment that is kind of put in. So as if this is not enough, of late the emergence of digital channels and digital multi-channel marketing has led to another trend, which is the CMO and CIO are having a conflict of their scope. Yes. This is the emergence of digital as a channel. So CMO thinks that it is his prerogative to call the shots when it is about online marketing. A CIO, on the other hand, thinks because it is pertaining to internet and technology, it is his forte. So this is where we are seeing another conflict of interest.
Yeah, the point where even over here is like if you look in the US market and the European market, you might see that more than 40% of people have gone online with the purchasing trends.
Correct.
In India also people might have gone with 10 to 20% of the people are moving off to to the online purchases, which brings a lot of focus on the marketing and that to the customized marketing, which is coming on the table.
Right.
Which brings higher and higher focus at how well to market the product, and that too through digital media, and then to get better returns, which is creating intersection of the CIO role and the CMO role. So CMO is no more a paper ad guy, which will be just publishing in a couple of papers or pamphlets kind of thing. So he has to intersect in the role of CIO, which is creating more and more conflict and interesting areas to explore.
Correct. So as if this is not enough, the demands from business are that today the IT and testers understand their business better, that they understand their vertical better, and they bring in certain amount of domain richness to whatever testing they do. It is not about a technical testing anymore. It is mostly to do with end-to-end business process testing. So they expect testers to understand, to appreciate the vertical or domain that they work in, so that they can add value from business perspective, from business process complete understanding is what they expect today, right? And then there is a humongous amount of cost of poor software quality that the business wants to minimize. And business also is no longer, they don't want to pay for the entire infrastructure that organizations have put in, but they would want to pay only for the value that they're receiving from testers. So if you really look at it, the last 5 to 10 years have transformed the way software is delivered and priced to customers. So this is essentially the revolution that came about because of service-oriented architecture. So they expect testing also to follow suit and be available as a service.
Yeah, which is like, you must have heard about a company called Salesforce.com, which was just like, a company of some kind of, couple of CRMs, yeah, those kind of couple of people sitting in a corner in the organization in California. And then again, they became another Google. They took the market by the storm, and they really brought together that how a traveling professional can utilize software on a service model. The same thing is now getting impacted into our testing as an arena that, how testing as a service will enable and how that will help us to deliver better value in the table, either from a value proposition or from a dollar value perspective. Like, you can see before also we highlighted the points of the CXO influence. The similar kind of focus is highly coming onto testing, that how we are going to deliver as a testing as a service, which will eventually help them to deliver cheaper value and better value.
Correct. So this is all about the drivers from the business side. So this is definitely driving software testing to kind of reinvent themselves, if I can use the word. Now let's look briefly at the forces that are acting from the technologies perspective, from the emerging technologies and methodologies. So definitely Agile has kind of put a lot of change expectations on the table. And as you already had put in some time back, mobile, cloud, big data, these are all big drivers.
Yes.
Over and above that, there is a trend of Internet of Things that is coming along. So if you really look at it, it is kind of impossible to create test environments which are like the production-like environments anymore. If you look at all the cell phones that are out there, it's kind of impossible for you to have the same test environment with you. So the traditional ways of testing and creating that kind of an environment is no longer going to be valid.
Yes.
So you need to be thinking very innovative and creative, and should be in a position to test things probably in production. Test in production is a trend probably because of this, so on and so forth. So traditional ways are definitely not going to work. There is a need for more and more innovative techniques and methodologies to be adopted. And some of the answers we don't have. We at least know the trends, but we are still looking for answers, I think.
Yeah, right. Yeah, very true, Shridhar. A lot of these factors are impacting our day-to-day life. Like especially on the cloud side, you will see a lot of, there are very smaller companies also, like, Loadstorm.com, Keynote Systems, and, even Wipro Technologies. Several companies have ventured into this market and have been able to create a niche for themselves that how to deliver better value for their customers in testing the applications like in production environments with the help of cloud and still run it in a cheaper environment. Like I can recall one of our retail customers in Canada, we did a load testing exercise. We deployed more than 100 boxes in 6 hours, wow. which is right. Which is impossible. In a traditional environment, you will go to your infrastructure department. They will ask you 50 questions, then they will go for the purchase requisition, this thing, that thing, blah blah blah. Lengthy process to get even 5 boxes into a lab. So that was something humongous, and we were able to create impact that within a week we completed load testing exercise. So
absolutely. So if you kind of look at some of the analysts, what they're saying about these things, mobility market will hit about $1 trillion by 2014.
Okay.
Yeah, that's like a few days from now.
Yeah.
Then Forrester says, the trend that I just quoted is from Gartner, yeah? Okay. And the Forrester is saying a very interesting question. It's not, it says, why not run in the cloud? That's the question CIOs must answer. So that's basically saying cloud is here to stay.
Yeah.
Forrester is of the opinion that cloud is already arrived and it is here to stay. The question will be asked to CIOs whether or not they're going to be on cloud. Yeah. And why they are not on cloud yet. Right? Yeah. So yesterday I was also going through some of the literature available online on cloud. It basically says cloud is already the answer. It's only a question of how we are going to do it. Right. Like it's public, private, or a combination. To suit your requirement, you have to come out with an answer.
Yeah.
Right?
Like coming to this one, the cloud thing, Shridhar. Interesting observation comes like once I was talking to a guy in Oracle. He told they are computer associates, Oracle and Microsoft. these organizations have been big hits in the last 20 years. They sold their product in the market and people accepted it very well. And then there came disruptors in the market, Google and Amazon.com, which really took the market with the cloud concept. Initially, for the last 15 years, most of the CEOs of Computer Associates and Microsoft and of Oracle were not so keen or excited about this cloud funda. But slowly, they realized that if they really don't move into that one, somebody else has already gone over there. And if we don't really go there, we have missed the train.
Correct. Absolutely. So big data, various analysts put the number between 75 to 100% growth in the next couple of years.
Okay.
And okay, there is a lot of debate about what's so big about big data, whether it is going to kind of replace anything or what kind of insights it will provide. But as a testers, we are looking at data-centric testing. How we are in a position to test this humongous volumes of data that is being generated. What kind of methods, what kind of statistical methods can you bring in, which can improve the efficiency and effectiveness of testing? Yeah.
Yes.
So lastly, Gartner also puts it that the total economic value add of Internet of Things will be about $2 trillion by 2020. So when we say Internet of Things, we are talking about different disparate systems, not just IT systems, but different things like your washing machine, telephone, cell phone, computer, so on and so forth, to be able to communicate with each other. Your life by kind of providing the right inputs at the right time. That is the kind of trend that we are seeing. But to test that kind of an interaction between various things, I do not think the traditional methods are going to help really. So this is the other major driver that we have on the table, right?
Yeah.
So that brings us to the third and a very fundamentally important driver, which is the testing body of knowledge. Over a period of time, I think testing has matured into a very a rich discipline by itself.
Yes.
Quite heterogeneous in nature, interdisciplinary in nature. It draws heavily from mathematics and behavioral sciences as well. And it has evolved from being some kind of random ad hoc activities that are done by developers and business analysts to a much more academically rigorous activity that professionals and specialists are doing today.
Yes.
And over a period of time, we have evolved our techniques. We have statistical techniques in place today. Today, we are able to mathematically prove what number of test cases do you need to have for a certain risk and coverage. You are in a position to prove how a certain amount of risk and a certain amount of coverage can be ensured by a certain number of test cases using some orthogonal array or some other techniques, right? So that is the level of rigor that we have brought in. And today we are actually talking about not defect detection, but we are actually talking about defect prevention, even over detection, right? And we are talking about not only automating the test execution phase, but how can we automate or expedite the test design phase as well. That kind of brings us to end-to-end test lifecycle automation. We are also talking about making our solutions, our techniques more domain-rich. So we are talking about techniques that are very specific to maybe banking, techniques that are very specific to manufacturing, techniques that are very specific to retail, so on and so forth, right? And different verticals have different needs and different levels of tolerance, and they're ready to accept different amount of risk also. So our techniques are also going to be specific to these verticals, and we are in a position to kind of bring in the domain flavor to the test cases that we are going to put in.
Yes.
Right? So in addition to that, as we were talking about the enterprises from different verticals, there is a need in all these verticals for centralization, standardization, and optimization of their QA departments or organizations. Because even today, anywhere from 30 to 40% of a project budget goes into quality aspects of it, managing it. And if you really look at it, testing has become synonymous with quality assurance in software industry. Okay?
Yes.
So that kind of comes to some story time. Yeah. So we have had some very serious debate about what is driving the future.
Yeah. I think before that, Shridhar, why don't you do a recap of these three parameters? Audience might be.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So eventually, just to refresh everyone's memory, we started off by looking at what are three major parameters which are actually driving us from the confluence perspective, which is bringing us on the crossroads. Number one, we looked at business. Number two, we looked at TBOC. Number three, we looked at technology. I repeat again, number one, business, which is where we looked at how the IT is playing a strategic role, what is the role of CXO, how the role of financial guy is changing, is becoming more and more important than a CIO, how the marketing officer is playing a bigger role on top of CIO, right? All that stuff. Then we looked at the second driver, technology driver. We looked at how the cloud is playing a role, how the big data is revolutionizing the testing industry, how the Internet of Things will really bring a rigorous change into a discipline, those kind of things.
Correct.
Then we brought looked at TBOC. The TBOC is not all about understanding the testing as a discipline has matured a lot. There are a lot of solutions and there are a lot of domain capabilities which have been built into as a testing as a profession, rather than a very ad hoc nature of testing which was being done 15, 20 years.
Absolutely. Very well summed up, Ritesh. So here is the thing, right? Let's see. Let me start with a story. So the story goes, probably the audience has already gone through this kind of a story before. The story goes like this. The two shoe salesmen were sent to Africa to see if there is any demand and market for their product. So the first salesman reported back, this is a terrible business opportunity. No one wears shoes. Yeah, because it's Africa, it's a hot country. Nobody has this habit of wearing shoes because it will sweat. So they don't wear. No, it's a terrible business opportunity. The second salesman reported back, this is a fantastic business opportunity. No one wears shoes here. Our potential to sell shoes almost is like 100%. We can sell it to everybody. So this is a story, but that kind of brings me to a pondering point. What would a tester report? If you were to send a tester to this market, what would a tester report? So that's the question actually. So probably this is time for the second poll question. Do you have the poll questions handy, Rupesh?
So the main internet is down.
So Srilakshmi, would you kind of read out the second poll question?
Yes, I will share the second poll question now. The question is, what is the biggest impact on software testing?
And the options are business,
Technology and testing itself.
Testing itself.
Okay, we'll close the poll now.
Yeah.
And 68% says business, 41% says technology, and 34% says testing itself.
No, the percentages are not adding up, Srilakshmi.
Oh, you missed somebody.
Or are these absolute numbers?
Yes, there's little, it can be inflated or deflated a little, but yeah, it's more or less what we get.
Okay, all right. So I think we are on the right track. The audience feel more number of audience feel that business has a bigger impact on software testing. I think I kind of agree with them. So coming back to the question, so what would a tester report if you were to be sent to this market. So on a lighter note, probably a tester would say it's out of scope, or it's kind of an environment problem, right? He would probably say it's an environment problem.
Environment is not perfect, so I can't test anything.
So that kind of brings me to what I call as the next section of our next segment of our talk, which is about true lies. Yeah? So what are the true lies I'm talking about? Let's look at it. So a tester reports terrible. Who are the people who are reporting terrible? In a Google G-Talk, Alberto Saboya, one of the leading testing experts, says testing is dead. And why does he think so? He thinks so because testing kind of slows down, it consumes resources, and it does not add any value. And in a Eurostar conference, Gosko Adzik says death to the testing phase. And as if this is not enough, James Whittaker, who used to work for Google earlier, and who wrote a book, How Google Tested Software. Yes. He says if you're pursuing quality, you won't get there by testing. And why do these people think so? It's because developers are getting better, and the tools are getting better. So we really don't need all these testers not taking away 30% of the budget, doing a lot of testing. It's not going to add any value. And there's really not that much of work for them because the developers over a period of time have gotten better. And the tools that they use have become more mature. So there are possibilities of bugs are that much less. This is what they say. Yeah. So who are the testers who are reporting fantastic? So there is one set of testers who are saying fantastic. We have a great opportunity out there, a great future out there. Gerald Weinberg, who authored more than 80 books on the discipline on testing, and one of the leading thinkers in today, he says if someone says testing is going to be dead, then that's just a dumb slogan. Why does he say that? He says without testing, IT will never mature. Lorinda Brandon from Smart Bear says quality is eating software. What she means is there is a ubiquity of software in our life, and all that software needs to be tested, otherwise the repercussions are going to be very, very serious. So if software is eating everything, quality is eating software. That's what she means.
Yeah, even keeping in mind, like we have to keep, we were doing some analysis, like 2 weeks back. What is the downtime of the, cost of production, right? We have seen that it can vary from a couple of hundreds of thousands of dollars to millions and billions of dollars, and leave upon the business reputation of that particular company.
Yeah, which is a much more significant effect than the dollar value.
Yeah, like for example, if you take gmail.com, once it went down for 3 minutes, people are like, it's all over the newspaper.
Right.
Everywhere in online media, and it came in even print media that Gmail was down. So how many times it was down? Just 3-4 minutes in a year. What's the big deal? But still it costs so, apart from revenue loss, it costs so much reputation loss.
Correct.
Walmart had a Black Friday. Best Buy Canada had so many issues in its, Thanksgiving and Boxing weekend.
Right.
So many companies had so many issues, Correct. That brings a fantastic opportunity for all of us that, we are really at a crossroads that we are getting into more and more digital media, which brings much more higher focus that products should be high quality before going into production. If it doesn't go, everybody else is going to suffer.
Okay. So that kind of, in fact, one of the things you mentioned is what I often quote, which I have mentioned on the slide as well. Because testing represents the end user, and we build confidence about the product, thereby helping businesses to avoid any risk of business reputational loss. That is why we exist in business, and our future is bright, right? So the reason why I also say that is because today testing is going beyond the customary go, no-go decisions, and we are entering into a realm of advisory and risk management, actually.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what you also summarized just now. So this is the part of the true lies, right? So we are still kind of toggling between the two diametrically opposite views that we started off with. So let's look at if we have to look into future, right, what it will look like. That kind of brings us to the segment called reimagining the quality. So as I kind of said in the other conference which Rupesh and I did together also, it kind of reminds me of a proverb, right? A proverb which about future. It says, prediction is very difficult, right? To predict is very difficult, and especially if it's about future, it's even more difficult. So let us see, by reimagining the quality, what do we have some answers about whether testing is really at crossroads or whether we have a great future or not. Yeah?
Yes.
So, Rupesh, do you want to kind of quickly go over the slide?
Sure. So in reimagining quality, let's, eventually this whole slide will give you a nutshell of the whole industry in last 30 years and the coming 10 years, the whole, this slide has been broken down into 3 components. One is looking at testing 1.0, number 2 is testing 2.0, number 3 is testing 3. So I repeat again, it's broken down into 3 components, testing 1, 2 and 3. So what was there in the testing 1? Developers, acted as testers, which was 15, 20 years very much true in 80s and 90s. Pockets of competencies of our test governance, right? Ad hoc, uncontrolled and reactive nature of testing. Like if you recall previously, when I worked in US, we were used to work on the same floor, everybody sitting on the same floor, starting from a developer, business analyst, tester, everybody. And many times those roles are shared, right? The developer is a tester actually, right? High production defect seepage. There is no way of measuring the quality of the product before going to production. We are just kind of hoping, praying to God that everything will fall into place when we go into production. High cost of operations, because we were very, very reactive in nature, so that's how our cost was very much high cost of operation. So this is what nutshell was coming out of testing 1. Testing 2, in the last 10 to 15 years, we saw testing as a end of a life cycle activity. It became a formal part of the life cycle, but it remained end of the life cycle.
Yeah, that is the unfortunate part.
Yeah.
That while it kind of claimed its rightful place within the life cycle,
yeah,
but it was kind of relegated as the end of life cycle activity, who come into picture at the end of the life cycle, when the coders have done everything, requirements have been gathered, coders have done something, the build is ready, then you can go on and test something. So that, I think, is the unfortunate reality of testing 2.0. But however, nevertheless, testing increased its status from being having no role at all to a defined significant role in the product life cycle.
And a separate role was, separate career path got defined in a, if not so very formal, but in a quite formal manner for the testing professionals. It had a impact on cost, time, and quality. The most of the engagements, if you see from the majorly from the outsourcing part, was T&M. Means the customer or the actual financer had a complete control of how the whole team will be structured, and they will many of you might be able to recall that they were used to time that customer will interview each and everyone sitting in the ODC. They'll say, send me the profile. I want to set the interview. Now it's no more, right? Right now they only select top 5 people or 10 people interview. That's it. They said, as per layer, you guys need to decide.
So that kind of brings us to the, testing 2.0 can probably be subdivided into waves, 3 waves of how it kind of matured over a period of time. Yeah. Now we are kind of at a phase where we are between the testing 2.0 and 3.0. Yes. So without covering testing 3.0 right now, we could probably go to the next slide and then come back to this particular
slide,
part of the slide.
Okay. Sure. Okay.
So here is the deal, right? We have software is a serious business, correct? So at this point in time, Srilagna, can you pull up the third poll question?
Yes, and hopefully this time, yeah. Do you think testing can add business value? And let's hope we don't get wrong answers this time.
No, last time the answers were not wrong. I was able to interpret them.
Okay, I have launched the poll. Let's wait for a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
Okay, I shall close the poll now. Pretty straightforward reply. We have got only 4% says no.
Okay. Rest of them say it's yes. Great.
Yes.
I think we have some very intelligent audience today who kind of know everything about software testing and distribution. Yeah.
And who do see that they are adding a value to business and their career has a roadmap.
Absolutely. Very optimistic and very enterprising, visionary kind of audience today. All right. So again, I'm kind of reminded of one incident, Rupesh, where by looking at this particular title, software testing is a serious business. Well, the business is serious, but are software testers serious lot? While I tend to think no, they do have a sense of humor, but in general, you kind of tend to hear this remark a lot that the software testers look more serious. Is that true? I mean,
no, I wouldn't say that software testers look serious. Rather, I would say they are doing some serious business.
Okay.
So it's the other way. So we are not some kind of serious guys. We are fun-loving guys, but we do some serious business and save the company.
Yeah, absolutely. So probably that should be a poll question as well. No, but that's no. Okay. Okay. All right. So why do we think software testing is a serious business? Yeah. If you look at it, lack of software testing kind of almost led to a World War III. What happened was the audience will recall that during the Cold War time, the Russian sensors picked up light reflected from rain droplets and interpreted that as about 5 different nuclear missiles fired by the Americans at USSR. Yeah, and
the whole time Russia.
The whole time Russia, right? So they almost
was our good friend at that time.
So they immediately wanted to counterattack, but somebody sitting out there has some common sense. I'm sure he's a tester actually. So he said, how can America kind of fire 5 at a time and exhaust their entire nuclear arsenal? It could be false data. So he kind of rechecked. He did a testing activity and figured out it's actually not missiles. So that kind of saved the world, yeah. So let's look at, and by the way, this is a software bug that they eventually kind of fixed.
Oh, okay.
That the sensors were wrongly interpreting certain data that's coming at them.
In fact, now one more example coming into mind, I was reading somewhere like even the DRDO or in NASA, they were about to launch their spacecraft into space, and it failed because of one for loop in the C language.
Mm-hmm.
It went into infinite. Yeah, in something. I don't remember what happened, but read a couple of years back, just a small fault. There must have been billions of for loops written into that code base, right? Just one for loop, which was not tested properly and caused this kind of, damage in the repetition.
Absolutely. So if you look at it, the lack of software testing can kind of even work in funnier ways than that. During the Gulf War, the US Patriot missiles needed to be rebooted every 8 hours or so. A known bug in the system, which the Israelites have already highlighted, but that's not fixed. And the expectation was that in the middle of the war, the army is going to reboot their systems once in a while. It did not happen. So a couple of times the Patriot kind of misfired and killed their own soldiers. About 28 is the official figure. We don't know the actual figure. Or lack of software testing also led to US blackout of 2003. I don't know if you were in the US around that time.
Yeah, it's right.
I was there. I escaped that blackout, but I kind of vividly remember. And later when I looked at it, it's basically because of a condition in the software that's controlling these plants, a condition called racing condition.
Okay.
So when the racing condition kind of triggered off, it led to a series of shutdowns of power plants in the northern part of the US, right? So that led to the blackout. So software testing is indeed a serious business. And if you look at it, there's a huge social cost associated with it. Rupesh, you were kind of referring to a figure yesterday about this kind of costing us about $6.2 trillion US dollars.
Yes,
yeah?
Yeah.
That's a big number. That's as big as more than the GDP of several nations put together today.
Yeah, right.
So we as a community, as testers, have this responsibility of minimizing this particular cost.
like I'm reading now in one of the emails that UBS fined about 13 million pounds over wrong trading in their systems. And I think in last 2012 when the email was published, that time they told top 10 reasons of software, top 10 havocs caused by the wrong softwares, and one of them was just for a couple of minutes the trading website went wrong and somebody
Yeah, that could be a very serious
problem.
If a trading window kind of closes even momentarily.
Yeah.
It could mean millions of dollars of loss or gain for somebody.
Yes.
Yeah. So let me give another example. This is something that I picked off the net. People with intelligent search should be able to find this. The company in question here is FedEx, which is figuring in the top 100 employers in the US as of now. And here is what has happened. There is somebody who kind of shipped a shipment. I think the what you see on the screen may not be very, very clear. So I will just kind of highlight the 3 or 4 points that I wanted to highlight here. So somebody kind of put a shipment in Memphis, Tennessee. The shipment destination is Netherlands AN. And the American side of FedEx interpreted that as Netherlands as in a country, which is in Europe. So they pushed it to Europe. The consignment came to Paris. The FedEx folks on this side saw that and kind of, for some reason, pushed it back to the US. And this time around, again, the Americans looked at it and said, Netherlands AN, it should be in Europe. They pushed it back to Europe. It crossed the Atlantic one more time. And this time again, Paris looked at it and sent it back to the US. And after about 6 to 8 days, the consignment is still in the host country, nowhere close to the source nor destination, but in the process crossing Atlantic about 4 times and then kind of carrying a huge amount of carbon footprint with it. And why this has happened actually? As a tester, when you look at it, probably these are the few things that you'll be thinking. The country codes are ambiguous. The barcoding system doesn't work. The requirements are ambiguous. So whatever it is, right, as a tester you can ascribe some reason. The fact of the matter is the customer is going to have a very poor experience. And there could be some compliance issues. If somebody went with the standard box that's delivered in 4 days, 5 working days flat, this has crossed that limit. So somebody can sue them. And even if not that, look at the amount of business reputational loss that can happen. So these are the fallouts of not having proper testing in place or having improper or buggy systems in production, and which are very critical to your main line of business. So if you really look at it, why this has happened is the Netherlands AN stands for Netherlands Antilles, which is a small place in Caribbean. So the Europeans were right in pushing it back to the US because Caribbean is serviced from the US, whereas the Americans were not able to understand or were interpreting Netherlands EAN as the country Netherlands, which is in Europe. So that is again another example, and as Sri Lanka just pointed out, anyway 96% of the people think testing adds business value. Yeah, so
it's a serious business,
right?
But the testers are not serious.
Testers are not serious. It's a serious business. Yeah. So now, Rupesh, your favorite slide about downtime.
Yes.
So why testing still has great relevance in future is because we cannot afford any downtime.
Yeah.
Like what you see on the screens is one report from Aberdeen Group, which kind of says an average cost of an IT disruption in 2012, last year, is about 138K, right? And organizations which have more frequent IT problems and took longer time to kind of bring it up are losing business. Yeah?
Right.
And I have gone through other reports by IBM and Ponemon, which say that a minor disruption is more costly from business perspective than a major one.
Oh,
so that's a very interesting anomaly to look at, because The shorter one is probably causing more business reputational loss, or it's interfering with the business more than the longer one. Probably a major disruption will have a workaround plan as part of their BC and DR, business continuity plan and business disaster recovery plan. Whereas a shorter one does not give you so much time to kick off a BCP and DRP.
Good point.
But it would still have a major impact on the business
Psychology and revenue perspective.
Exactly. So here we have a few very interesting examples we have covered in the last few slides about testing adding business value. Yeah. So that brings us to what kind of a role can testing assume in future.
Yeah.
Right. So very quickly, in about 2 minutes, if we can cover this, we can open up for Q&A.
Okay, sure. Sure. So eventually, we saw that how we are, moving further. Now we are on the crossroads, looking at a new discipline for the, testing as a profession. So let's look at a few things. It's not an exhaustive list of things, but it's a very, very selective list of things which are going to help you to look at how the testing as a profession is changing. Number one, enable business assurance and confirmation through shift left. Number two, complete automation. Number three, build verification testing. So what is shift left? Shift left is emphasizing the earlier you test software, the better it is, right? And number two is complete automation, which is looking at the perspective that how to increase the automation in a regression suite perspective. Number two, how to as early as possible automate.
Right? That is a progressive or build ahead automation.
Build ahead automation.
And together they complete the automation.
Yes.
Not just the regression of it.
Yeah. Progressive and regressive automation both complete the whole end-to-end life cycle of automation. The build verification testing, which is to enable that how faster and faster builds can be deployed into your QA environment and into production, and those verification testing can be done much faster. Now looking at the business resiliency, which is bringing the shift right, which is bringing the whole concept of test stops, that looking at how to test in the production of the application gone into production, how to make sure that the application is able to retain its, minimize its downtime in the production, right? Right. Test review for product improvement and SLA/overlay refinement, which is
this basically is about testing actually does so much of activity across the life cycle, starting from business ideation or requirement collection stage on to till we hit production. Right? And of course, we are talking about shifting right, which is about not just handing it over to the production folks and the help desk folks, but also kind of hand-holding them for a rich user experience, for giving them workarounds for the problems that they may be facing. So if we are looking at it, we are having this humongous amount of documentation that we put together. We have so much of intelligence about the system. That intelligence should be fed back as feedback so that the product can be refined further, that notes can help production people, production support people in actually answering some of the issues and questions that the users may have.
Yes.
And it should also help in quickly doing any code fix as part of your build verification testing that you are referring to. Yes. So essentially, in a nutshell, what we are saying is, testing in testing 3.0 or in future is not just going to be restricted as one activity in one phase. This is probably what Gosco Adzik is also saying as a depth to the testing phase. If you look at Agile also, throughout the life cycle testing is involved, right from business requirements till production. It is no such thing as a separate phase for testing.
Good. Yeah.
For that matter, there is no such thing as a testing team in an Agile methodology.
Agile body. So what you can see that Google has perfected that mastered that art.
Yeah, test engineering as I call it.
Yeah.
So what we are essentially saying is testing is going to have a role from requirement till it rolls into production and beyond.
Yes.
And we have to shift left as well as a stretch right to cover the entire life cycle. Thereby, if you take a situation where we are going to do test-driven development kind of a situation, testing is actually raising its stature from being an end-of-life cycle activity to a person who is calling the shots. You are actually telling the developer what to write. Only that much code and no more code than that passes the test case that you are writing. So the testing, respect, and stature are increasing by that much. And of course, there are other standard expectations around owning the end-to-end test life total cost of ownership, and coming out with innovative commercial models that can enable your service as a service model, testing as a service model.
Yes, very important.
And creating business value, which we already covered at length. That kind of brings me to the summarizing slide. And Sri Lagna, we can open up for any Q&A at this point in time.
Yes, Sridhar and Rupesh, I have already assigned a couple of questions. However, we are left with 4 minutes to wrap up the session. So maybe if you could look at taking as many questions as you can. You will be able to find the questions in the questions window on your control panel. Sridhar, let me know if you can view the questions now.
Yes, Sri Lagna, I'm sorry, I was on mute. So I'm looking at the questions. I'm answering a few of them. I'm taking a few. So Srinivas Kadiala is asking, is it a testing body of knowledge or testing book of knowledge? It's a testing body of knowledge, TBOK, ALA, similar to the PMBOK, the project management body of knowledge. So over a period of time, we have kind of evolved, and we are in a position to claim a testing body of knowledge, which is full of not only techniques and methodologies, but we also have behaviors that are kind of expected from testing, and the kind of behavioral skills, softer skills that we are expecting from testers as well. So there is another question from Madhava Prasad. Suggest a good automation tool for mobile app testing.
Okay, Madhav Prasad. So mobile app testing, QTP has come with a plugin for the mobile testing, and there are a couple of other tools, open source tools also, which are picking up in the market for the mobile space. Even though I also have not, used any of those ones. So we only did once little bit of testing for the mobile applications with the QTP plugins.
Right.
Go to the next one.
Yeah, we'll go to another one.
Do you think?
Okay, Srikanth Y is asking, is there bright future for only automation testers, or is it there for manual testers also? So the first question that I would like to ask is, this is a word that we should abolish from the lexicon of testing, manual testing. Can we ever talk about manual programming or manual development? We don't. So when it comes to testing, we always talk about manual testing and automated testing. This is one thing that we should remove. Secondly, enterprises across the globe are no longer expecting some specialist to come and do some automation testing for them. It has become a hygiene factor. It has kind of become an expectation from any tester that they should be able to do testing automated manner.
Yes. Yes. And also another point to keep in mind, see, the way we were saying before, the industry is moving into convergence. Here we are talking that, developer, tester or business analyst is not a separate guy, but the same guy having multiple skills. Now, if you're talking about inside testing that, are you a separate guy like a manual testing guy, automation testing guy, performance testing? No. You should venture and eventually evolve yourself into multi-skilled person, and through several opportunities either available within your organization or through open source community.
Correct. So next question for you, Rupesh, is from Shivendra Singh. He wants to know if testers have limited salary packages.
Obviously, see, I would say, like testers are like any other creatures in the world, like developers or other product managers who have a limited package. If you want to venture out to make some unlimited packages, I would request you to think of either developing a product or opening up a small company of your own, which can definitely help you to fetch better packages. But obviously, the packages are capped as an employee in any large company.
Right. So, question from Lino Johanna. How does software testing lead to poor business? I think Lino, I hope I'm getting the name pronunciation right, Lino or Lino. I think we already gave a few examples of how software testing can lead to poor business, or how it can have an effect on good business as well. If you're looking at financial services, the user experience that a software can provide can make or break their business. If you are looking at trading with competition around, the trader who provides more resilient and better user experience through his trading software is going to get all the commission out there, right? So that's one example. And similarly, we can probably pick examples from each and every vertical also. Ankesh Bansal wants to know if, okay, the question roughly is about what if someone, a tester is still stuck in testing 2.0, what it takes to change. So like any other changing discipline, right? Like you don't ask the same question to a developer, do you? Because every 3 to 5 years, a new disruptive technology comes into force. And people have to adapt to the new technology. But what is of heartening is, as this particular new technology comes in, the role of testing becomes more profound. Because the new technology, new products are being built, more testers are required to give confidence in the product. So, along with the rest of the professional, I mean, I don't think there is any profession that is immune to change, and there is any profession that does not demand the professionals to improve themselves. So we cannot say, I would want to remain in testing 2.0 world and cannot wish away testing 3.0. So we have to adapt. We have to adopt the newer technologies and newer methods and techniques. Yeah.
Sridhar and Rupesh, we are already running out of time.
All right, Sheila, I think there are quite a few other questions.
Yeah, there are a lot of questions. Maybe you can take up one last question for today, and then we can request the attendees to share the questions with us offline.
Okay, let me pick Rupesh. Here is an interesting question for you from Jyoti. What's the difference between shift left and shift right?
Okay, Jyoti. The shift left is all about, hitting onto in the requirement lifecycle early and, doing the automation much early in the lifecycle.
You may want to cover the cost of
yeah. One of the reports says that, Gartner report says that if you find the defect in the requirement stage, you will spend only $70. Versus if you find the same defect in 14,000, in the production, it will cost you 14,000. So you can see, there is a huge 200 times difference in the cost, which can definitely help us, to realize, appreciate the value of the shift left philosophy. Now coming to shift right. Shift right is all about deploying the production much faster than what we are doing now, which eventually has given birth to the concept of test in production. So if we go with that one, which is a shift right concept of, deploying use the build verification testing methodology using test in production, which will help you to deploy much faster in production. That's it. That's what eventually, if you do both of them, shift right and coupled with shift with the shift left, basically you're covering up the whole life cycle, pre-production and post-production.
Right. We can combine a question of Rahul Verma here. Rahul, question was, if we shift left, are we not stepping into BA's role, business analyst role? No, Rahul, what happens is the business analyst from the functional or development side is constructing the requirements. The testers, actually we at Wipro call them the BAQAs, the business analysts, quality analysts. The BAQAs look at the same set of requirements with a view to destroy them, to see where they break, to make sure they are testable and they are complete, concise, unique, unambiguous, so on and so forth. So the view with which these two people are going to be viewing at the requirements is going to be very, very different. And they both have a role to play. Yeah. So Srilekha, probably these are all the questions we can answer online. Probably we'll take a few more questions if the dump is available and put them on the discussion board in the link.
Yes. In fact, we have around 50 more questions, if not more, which remain unanswered. But what we can do is we can request the attendees to share the questions on our discussion forum, and both you and Rupesh, you can visit techgeek.com and participate in the discussions and maybe answer some of the questions.
Great, definitely. And in fact, Rupesh and I were speaking to TechGig Neha Singh Verma. So we are going to come up with a few more webinars, which will be sequential of these particular webinars. So we'll have ample opportunities to discuss and debate more and more pertinent points about testing and its future. Yeah.
And also, I think the next time we'll make sure that we finish up in 40-45 minutes so that these guys have enough time to ask us questions.
Yes,
and right?
yes. In fact, we look at wrapping up the session by within 40 minutes and keep as much time as possible open for Q&A. But nevertheless, as mentioned, these guys can come on discussion forum and share their questions. Another way, if you both are okay with this option, that is, they can also send in the questions directly to you or to us, and we can share the questions with both of you. That's another option.
Great.
All right, I would quickly want to thank both of you, Sridhar and Rupesh, for taking time out today and giving this wonderful presentation. It was really insightful, and I can see a lot of questions are coming up. A lot of them are asking, specific questions related to software testing, and some of them have 3 years or 4 years of experience, and they're looking into skill-specific questions. So maybe it would be interesting to have maybe related seminars later on, or we could address these questions individually offline. I would like to thank all the attendees as well for their fair participation today, and the recording of today's session will be available on techgeek.com by tomorrow afternoon. So request you all to log in and please visit the site and go through the session as recorded today. Thank you once again, Sridhar and Rupesh.
Thank you, Srilekha. Thank you for all your support.
Thank you very much.
And a big thanks to all the audience for taking time out.
Yes, yes. We hope you found much value in our lecture, and definitely in the coming months we will be staying tuned with you guys once a month or something like this with the lecture series also.
Sure. Thank you so much once again. Have a great day.